S19, rookie. Okie dokie. Another launch. Little adjustments to this craft that I've flown before. Go ahead and get it going. I'll talk a little bit more on the way. See a throttle down here in a minute when I go to max Q. Right there on the centers. Start to throttle down right there. The center rocket is quite a bit stronger than these. It's not even lit yet. It's not going to light until the boosters separate. As I said, I've flown this craft before with a little bit different modifications. This time I changed the landing rocket, put different legs on it. See the throttle up, start, here it comes. I installed a new mod, the Kerbal Reusability mod. This brings a bunch more parts and specifically landing legs, which I wanted more of. There goes that center stack. Wanted to play around with landing legs because there's not very many options. They got the L1, the LT1, and the LT2. And unfortunately, Squad has built some bounce into those legs that I don't like, and I have not figured out a way to get them out, get the bounce out. To date, there's only one set of legs I've used that don't have any bounce, and that's the LEM landing legs from the FASA mod. So I put it on quite a few crafts just for that reason alone, even though the legs look pretty cool. But it lands without any bounce. And I thought by installing this mod with some different landing legs that I'd be able to get some different options. And so far I've only tried one, the Falcon small legs. I think that's what I have on here now. And it had some bounce to it too. And I keep going into the config file and I keep looking at the settings to figure out what do I need to change to get the bounce out to make the legs rigid. Like it would just be fixed to the spacecraft solid. And I have not been able to figure out how to do that. The settings are baffling me. I don't know. I'm having a problem knowing what's what. Here goes the boosters. I've posted on forums and I have not got anyone that either gives a shit about it, and either not bugged about it like I am, or they don't know how to do it either, because I have not got any replies on how to make those legs rigid. So, hell, maybe it's just me, man. Maybe I just like solid, rigid landings, no bounce. Hell if I know. I just know that's what I want, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it. The legs I have on here look pretty cool. You'll see it here in a minute when I get rid of the fairing. If I can just make them solid now, I'll be happy as a space clam. I work on my separations quite a bit and on my craft because I like them to fly a certain way. I'd like to spread out the boosters, the separations to be about where I want them to be, so one doesn't separate too early or I get to orbit before the final booster's finished. And I keep making small adjustments until I get it where I want, and also with the less heat. I'm doing pretty good right now. You can see I don't have much heat built up. Some of my other craft, I have blowtorches up there and haven't quite. When I get one to go like this one, I haven't really figured out why it's not heating up where some of my other ones are. Those are continued things that I'm trying to learn how to tweak. This one's going good. This one, here goes the final stage. Wobbling a little bit. Let's get a little bit of RCS thrusters going in there. Up orientated a little bit. There's the new landing legs. Falcon style. These extend out quite a bit where it looks, this is a pretty tall craft, so I need legs that stand very wide, or it makes the landings too wobbly and it just looks weird. On a previous craft I had built, this is the Gemini engine, by the way, a dual engine, looks pretty cool. That's from the FASA mod also. But before I used the standard LT2 legs, and I built girders to extend the stage out so the legs would be starting out here, so I'd get it nice and wide. With these legs, I didn't have to do that because they stand quite a bit wider than the LT2 legs. So I was able to take the girders off, which also made the fairing, made me be able to make the fairing a little bit narrower because the base wasn't as wide. I have a comparison video up that explains more what I'm talking about with the girders on with the different legs. I also had these tanks sideways on the girders, so this one looks quite a bit different. But the sound you're hearing on the RCS thrusters, this is what's been changed in 144 and 145. This is 143. The last version with the sound I like. The other two, they changed the sound right now that you're hearing. This kind of low pitched. They changed this sound where now it's kind of a raspy high pitch, and it also is the same sound of the Separatrons. If you use Separatrons for your boosters or any other retro rocket from a different mod, they all use that same sound. So whenever the booster separates, you're going to hear that high pitch sound instead of the more throaty rocket sound that I like better. And another thing 144 and 145 changed is they changed the plume a little bit of certain rockets. I noticed it on a one of my landing rockets when I was taken off from the moon. I was using little ullage motors strapped to the ascent stage to give me a little more boost, and it changed the plume. The plume just looked different. I didn't like it. So that was like two strikes for me. One was the sound, and then when I saw that plume that I didn't like, I said that was pretty much it for me. I really gave those two versions a go and tried to give them as much chance as I could to see if I could adjust to them, but I just couldn't do it. And it wasn't for lack of me not trying, because I would rather have the latest version of anything. But unfortunately, with the changes they made, it just wasn't to my liking. Still have 145 in the Steam directory installed. I'll keep updating it to see what changes Squad is going to throw down the pike. And in the meantime, I still have 143 that I saved to a different folder that I'll continue to play. So this version is basically frozen now, meaning I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to touch my mods. I'm not going to update any mods. I'm going to leave it exactly the way it is, because it's just suited to me now. And then I'll continue to update 145 to see what changes are. Maybe Squad will go back to the original sound. Of course, I used RCS thrusters quite a bit, and you can see on these big craft I don't use they call it reaction wheels. I think there's one installed on the main pod, but normally I go with the RCS thrusters. And when you got a rocket this big, you need a lot of thrusters to keep the thing stabilized, which is going to attenuate that sound more. So that changed sound that the two later versions are using now is way more pronounced, especially when you have as many RCS thrusters as I do right now. Using the blue, the round blue, we call it, snowball, on a boom, on a mic boom. Before I was using headset mic, which I like the freedom that gives you, but there were some things I didn't like about it. So I like this mic, but I don't know if I have the mic turned up too much, but I have to keep this mic a good 16 inches away to sound like it's sounding now. Just moved it up to a little over a foot. If I go any closer, then my voice starts to get too basic. I just don't care for the sound. I notice a lot of YouTubers, they use these real nice mics and they got that thing right up in their mouth. You know, it looks like the mic's 2 or 3 inches away and their voices sound fine. Can't do that on this one. It'd just be too overpowering. I don't know if it's just a, you know, the quality of the better mics over this one, but this is where I'm finding I'm having to try to keep this thing so when I play it back, my voice is sounding like I think it really sounds. And again, I'm trying to always tweak the microphone slash game balance so coming out good through the whole video, which is a challenge to do in a game like this where you have a lot of loud sounds and then a lot of soft sounds at different times. So, you know what I mean? I try to, you know, I play each video back and I see if it's acceptable to me because I don't do any editing. I have Vegas Pro, so I have, you know, good editing software. I just don't care to do it. You know, I went in there and messed around. Too time consuming for me. I mean, you know, I spend more time editing than I did making the video to begin with. So I played with it a little bit, and it's just not me. It's just not my thing. You know, there's other people that live in the editor. You know, they make their video, and then they, you know, spend considerable time in that editor, tweaking the sound just right, tweaking whatever else, and then rendering the game again, which takes as long as playing the game to begin with. So it's just too much work for me. Too much work for me personally. If editor's your thing, uh, super cool. Just not my thing. And that's kind of surprising to me because I'm a tweaker. I'm a tweaking dude. You know, generally that's something that's right up my alley. But for making these videos, and again, my videos, all my videos I make are long. Because all my videos are full flight. So every video I make's a good hour and a half long. And then for me to spend all that time, you know, by the time I get done playing the game and getting out, I'm pretty wore out already. The last thing I want to do, pop that thing back into an editor and spend at least that much time again. See where I'm at. Alright, let me orientate this thing. My controls are green with me. I always wrestle with that. Which way's up, which way's down, which way's right, which way's left. Yeah. And to get it right, it's all about the roll. Put the roll into a different position, then the controls are doing different things. When you press right, you think it's going to go right, it goes up. So I'm always wrestling with that. Okay, let's separate And now I got it where I press left and it goes right. But at least it's better than pressing left and it goes up or down. Okay, I'm gonna ignite. And this guy, whoa, boost to the moon. Bit of the sparing. Always do an inclination burn first. Make sure I'm coming in on the plane that I want. I'm always coming in on the 0 plane. Same plane that the moon rotates around Kerbin. All my bases that I have are around that plane, so I always stick to it. I mean, you can change the plane up when I come in at a different angle, but I always stick to the same one because I'm a creature of habit. Plus it puts me right in line with my other bases. And I have a space station orbiting. I also have it orbiting on that same plane. Okay, now we're going to change the periapsis. Change it to 30. Fixed time again. You hear sounds through the video, it's just me moving the mic. Because I'm a squirrely dude, man. When I play these games, I'm all over the damn place. I'm moving sideways, up and down. I'm fidgety. I can't stay in one spot. So that was the good benefit of having the mic with the headset, because then it gave me freedom. I didn't have to think about it. The problem was with that is, since it was USB, when I plug it in, it then uses different drivers than what my sound card is using. So that meant when I was in OBS Studio, which I'm using to record this, as I try to play the game, talking through the mic and I'm listening to the sound of the games through the headphones, the sound coming through the headphones was way too loud. I mean, like blasting my eardrums out loud. And it threw me off. It threw me talking to the mic off. And then if I made adjustments and turned down the volume of the headset, it also lowered the volume of the game. And I never could figure out how to do it separately. I was always wrestling with that. Either I would get a decent volume in my headphone, or I could talk and wouldn't be blown out, but then when I play the video back, my voice was way too low. Or excuse me, the game was way too low. And all you heard is my voice through the whole thing. So when I switched over to the Snowball, it's USB. But now the mic's through USB, and I still have my desktop speakers. So now I just plug my headphone into my console for the speakers. I have an old Logitech Z55. Yeah, I'm an old timer. I still got that sumbitch. But it has a headphone jack on it. So I can adjust the volume through the headset now when I talk through the game, and it doesn't affect the game volume. whatever game volume I have set in OBS Studio or in the Windows Mixer, that's the volume that the game will be. So my headphone is now independent of the sound of the game. So I like that much better, because I don't have to wrestle with that now. I can set it, I can make my headphone right where I want it, so I can talk without having to yell, and the game volume will stay whatever I had it set at. Alright, let's see what my orbit turned out to be. It's a good one, and it's pretty close. McJeb did a good job on that one. Alright, let's rotate this craft to prograde. That's when I release the spacecraft. That's the way I'll be going anyway. Separate. That separator. There's my lone piece of space junk. I should have rotated this craft and got rid of that separator before I went into orbit. Then it would have been on a trajectory to the moon, just like that third stage was. I forgot to do that. Now I got a lone piece of space junk. It's gonna sit there forever until I go into the tracking station and get rid of it. Okay, there's those landing legs. They look pretty good. They fit the spacecraft good, seeing they're out far enough from this tall craft where they look proportional. On the other hand, if I would have put the LT2 legs where these are, the legs would be about here, and it just wouldn't look like it was out far enough for the craft. So these are much better in that regard. Okay, see where we want to go. Actually, like Eat at Joe's. So those legs gave this craft quite a bit different look than the other one I had, where I had the different legs on it and I had the girders on it. So actually I like both of them, to be honest with you. They have a different look to them. As I said before, when I had the girders on there, I had these tanks turned sideways, and I had the batteries inside the girder. So it was quite a bit different look than how it is now. This looks, this might look a little bit cleaner than the other one. The other one kind of looked more mechanical, I guess you could say. But as I said, I like both of them. I also had a third one where I left the girders on, but I took the LT two legs off and put the faster legs on. So I have a craft with those on there too. And out of the three, that's the one that lands the best with those faster legs on there, because it's the only one of the three that lands solid. That just comes down and lands. These unfortunately have the bounce to them, meaning the legs move. And I know they're doing that on purpose to try to make it realistic, but it's unfortunately for me, it has the opposite effect than that. I need those legs to not move. I need them to be like their landing legs, like when the craft comes down, it's not going to squash the legs, and it's not going to make the craft move. This is a big craft. It's got a lot of weight, a lot of mass. So I have these extra tanks on there. I like the looks of them, to be honest with you. I like it because it gives me an extra thing to do. Because you have to fill them up manually. And then I have an extra step of jettisoning the tanks, which I like. It's a cool step for me. So let's go ahead and start getting ready to drain these guys. I'm just going to do it all at once. Sometimes I do it one at a time. I like doing it both ways. You know, I like mixing it up. Okay, now tanks are dry, so when I get down a little bit closer, I'll jettison those tanks. Actually, those legs look pretty good. The tank, the mod gives you some. If you've seen the blue, oh, Bozo's craft. What the hell do you call that? One that just goes straight up and comes back down. I forgot now. But it's got those legs on it too. Those legs kind of look weird. I always thought that craft looked a little weird, even though I love watching it and it's cool as hell, but the legs looked a little weird. So that wasn't my first choice. If anybody's ever watched that craft, go watch it. The one where it shows the view from inside the craft the whole way up and the whole way down to landing with the mannequin in there. That's cooler than shit. That's the one that eventually is going to have live paying millionaires in there. But that experience was cool, watching that whole thing. Okay, we're gonna be getting rid of these tanks. Don't need them anymore. Shed a little weight. Gonna slam down on the moon. You'll see a little shadow here in a minute as these tanks get closer. Oh, didn't get it. Do a little quick save in case my approaches are a little less than kosher. Generally, MechJeb does a pretty good job. It does an excellent job with, as far as accuracy, with the moon and Minmus. I mean, it'll put it dead where you tell it. I mean, sometimes see my base down there, and there's another craft down there. And sometimes it'll get a little bit too close, like set it down like 3 feet away from a craft I'd put up there previously. So on these landing coordinates, I always try to keep track of them when you're doing multiple landings over time, so you don't smash into one of the craft you put down there before. And this one looks like it's going to be close. God damn it. Whoa. Alright, let's see. Make sure I'm not going to smash into this guy. Let's see what these legs do. Let's see what kind of... Yeah, look at that, man. They talk about friggin' close. Alright, let's see what these legs do as far as bounce. Let's see how much give they have. That wasn't as bad as the other one. Still a little bit too much for me. I'd rather have a little bit more salt in that. You can see these things are given a little bit. I'd rather they didn't do that. Here's one that I sent up there before, the same one. That's kind of weird right there. Not too crazy about that right there. Just notice that. What that is this. This the part that holds the legs when they're collapsed. And unfortunately, they're on the fairing. They have a fairing right there in between the ascent stage and the descent stage. But after it splits, they're still there. I'm not liking that very much. Don't know. I'm gonna try to see. Normally when I launch it back up, I have the fairing to separate as the fairing, as the separator separates the two stages. Might try to launch this time and see if I can leave that guy on there, because then when you'll see this again, you'll see the fairing still on, and these won't look so funny. I mean, sitting there looking like they're hanging out in space. I kind of like the looks of the, when it takes off, you'll see it here in a minute. I like the looks of the fairing separating at launch. Now it takes off in a few pieces. That looks cool. But when using these legs, I'm gonna have to not do that, because ain't no likey this. And no likey that guy. Okay. This is a cool base. Let's go ahead and... Oh man, you know what else I forgot to do? God damn it. I did that last time too. All the way up here. I didn't deploy my solar panels. I'm gonna deploy them now. I should have done that. That means my mothership is up there orbiting with no solar panels on it too. Okay. Now I don't want to come out of this port. Luckily I have two. Because if I did and the Kerbal fell straight down, he'd break both of these off. And I know this because I had done it before. So let's take Genie. Why was it not letting me do that? Okay, moving the mic again, you might hear a crunch. Alright, let's go over here. Now I didn't even notice this before. See, my ladder didn't have an extended. I didn't notice that. I didn't have them extended before. Hmm. All right. Fix that. Realize I forgot to do that. Okay. This is my Eat It Joe's base. Rather cool looking base, if I do say so myself. And you'll notice here, now if I want to, I can close these guys up. So I can have whatever look I want. So I can leave it like that if I want. But I actually like the look of them better open. So I just leave them open. But it just shows that they're fully functional. And if you look inside, you see those are lunar landers. And they're not just for show, they're fully functional, fully loaded, ready to go. I could put dudes in there and I can blast them both up if I want. Now I'm not going to do that because then it'll change the whole look of the base. But it just shows that I could do that if I wanted to. And they're pretty cool looking. Actually pretty badass if I do say so myself. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but I can build a mean moon base. Now of course I have some help on this, not building it but putting it up here. Use this program called HyperEdit. It lets you build the base of your choice. Space stations too, for that matter, even though I don't use them for that. But you just build your base in the space plane hangar, build it the way you want, and you can see by looking at this thing that there's considerable time spent on that. You don't just whip one of these up in 5 minutes. So I got a lot of time, and this thing's all loaded with kernels. There they all are. If you look here, you'll see each one I point at, courtesy of the portrait stat mod. Show where they're at. Shows the emblem on what their rank is. There's my scientists, there's my engineers. The guy I put in there, I'm just going to leave him in there. I'm letting him going to do a 6-month stay. And some people might say, what's the point of using something like HyperEdit, putting it up here? Well, look at it. Look at the atmosphere. Look at the base. That's the point. The point is to enhance the experience. And this is what this does for me. Each time I go in and build one of these guys, I sit there and figure out what I want, what kind of look I want, and then that's the fun of putting this whole thing together. And once I get it together, then I use this guy to put it wherever I want. And then you use Vessel Mover, which is another program that lets you move. Once you land it, then I can pick it up and I can move it wherever I want. So if you look at the map, so you can see I've spent considerable time moving my bases all the way around my plane. So each time I come in for landing, I have multiple choices on where I want to go. I have so many bases that I forget which one's which, and because they're all different. I don't put no two bases are the same. So that's kind of neat for me, for the experience of just having a different place to go. Sometimes it'll be a while before I visited one of these, and then I'll go visit it and I'll go, oh yeah, I remember that one. That was a son of a bitch to build. Go hang out with the Kerbals, go move some Kerbals around. This is one of my, go ahead and move. This is one of my favorite crafts for transport. Of course, it's big, it's squirrely. Some might say it's a little homely. I think it looked pretty damn cool to me, but the pod I've chosen is from the FASA mod, and it's the Gemini Rescue capsule that holds 6 Kerbals. That's why I use it, because this is what it's all about for me. I only had 3 this time. I'm going to leave 1. Sometimes I'll bring 6 up. I'll take all 6 out, I'll put them in there, and I'll take 6 different ones out, put them back in here, take them home. I like to mix it up. I like to change the experience, make it, it's all about the journey for me. Why I play this game so much. Okay, let's do a little staging. Alright, this time I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to try to leave the fairing. This is the first time I've tried this. Let's see if it stays behind so I don't get this look. 30 minutes to launch. 39 minutes. Sun go down the horizon. Now I have these little ullage motors strapped to the side of these tanks, so they're going to light when this... Actually, they're going to light to kick me off. And then when I get up, when they burn out, since they're solids, then the ascent stage engine will light. And that's the plume I was talking about of 1444 and 145. They changed the plume of this particular motor. I don't know what other motors, but this is what I'm talking about right there. They just changed it to something that doesn't look as good. It's got kind of like, instead of a real strong rocket exhaust look, it's got kind of a particle look to it. I just didn't like it. It just kind of just didn't look as good to me. And when this thing ticks off, we'll keep our eye down here to see that that fairing is going to stay put. See, normally it would just disintegrate as it took off, which is a cool effect. If I didn't have these legs on there, I would keep that effect because I'd like it. I miss my window a little bit. It did stay. See it? Cool. It did stay. So that means next time I come up here. Oh shit! It didn't light. The staging was off a little bit. That was supposed to have lit by itself. Normally, if I wasn't making the video, I would have loaded that back up and did that again. I didn't have my staging. Something went a little wrong where the stage didn't pick up that motor. I had it on 5. I'll have to look at my video again. I play it back. Get rid of them all now. I had more fuel in them. I could have kept it going, but I just wanted to release them a little bit early this time. These tanks I didn't really need. I kind of needed the descent, the extra fuel for the descent. But the ascent, I'll have to try it sometime. I'll have to just jettison the tanks at launch, see if I have enough in this tank right here to get back to the mothership. We have orbit. This one has been a long one. And that's kind of the way it is with this, with MechJeb. MechJeb seems like it mixes it up sometimes, or sometimes the flight back to the mothership will take a while, and other times I'll go right up to it like in an orbit. Damn, it's 1:15 in the morning right now. My tweaking ass is sitting there flying in outer space. Okay, there's my mothership. I've mentioned this in other videos. I'll mention it again. Someone hasn't watched one of my other ones, which nobody watches the damn things but me anyway. So, anyway, microphone buzz. I've had my share of it. I had quite a bit of it at the beginning with the mic I had on the headset. And I've heard that buzz before in a lot of other videos I've watched. So I know I'm not the only one it's happened to. But it turns out it was interference, like from me, because I have a extension, USB extension, coming out of my computer. Actually, my computer is an open air design, and it's above me a little bit, and so I have to, my microphone USB cord won't reach all the way to it, so I need an extension. And that causes a little bit of problems, it seems, because when I plug it in, I would hear this background hum, and I would hear it through the whole video, this little boom sound. And then one day I was messing with it, and I actually saw a video of a guy that had the same problem. He was explaining what he did, and I'll be damned if what he did worked for me. Where the USB cables come together, if I put my finger over the outside of it, my hand, and clamp down on my hand, the buzz will go away. And I will go, damn, what the hell? So what this dude did, he took like a power cord, he just, thicker gauge the better. Cut a 6-foot piece, took the insulation off the ends so you'd have bare wire, maybe a couple inches on each end. Wrap one of them on the outside of the USB, or on the outside where they connect, and do it as tight as you can. And twist it a hair with a pair of pliers to get it nice and snug, and then take the other end and wrap it around your toe, one of your toes. And that's the same thing as just sitting there holding it with your hand, the connector, because you sure couldn't make a video that way. Trying to play the game and hold on to the connector, take the buzz out. I'll be a son of a bitch that doesn't work. I noticed when I got the new mic. Hang on just a second, let me get this thing going. Let's do a little tweaking. Looks like she's pretty much right there. Oh, okay. When I got the new mic, I noticed it didn't have as much buzz in it as the old cheap cost SB45 mic I had, but it was still there. And when I use the ABS, I use the gate, the mic gate. Um, it's the filter that you adjust it so when you stop talking, the mic will cut off, and then when you talk, the mic will come on. That helped the buzz quite a bit because before I wasn't using that gate, so the mic was live all the time. So as I was doing the video, the mic was picking up this buzz throughout the whole thing. And you didn't hear it as much when I was talking, but the quiet moments is when you really heard it. And so when I put the gate on there, that took a lot of that out because when I wasn't talking, the mic would cut off. But I noticed that it was still there because when I would watch the mic, looking at the game through OBS, in the window, I would look at the mic volume and even it would stop when I quit talking. But then if I didn't say anything, I'd watch it and it would bounce. I'd see the meter bounce. It would bounce to halfway and then go back down, and it would do it real fast. And I wasn't making any noise, so it was just doing it on its own. And each time it would do that through the video, you'd pick up a little bit of buzz. And it wasn't as pronounced as it was before without using the gate. So I went ahead and did the wire thing because at first I didn't think I needed it on the new mic. So I did it again. I put the wire on the USB connector, tied it around my toe, looked at the meter again, and then tested the gate. So when I talked, you'd see the meter go. When I'd stop, the meter was shut off. And this time, I wasn't getting any bounce. So the mic wasn't, just boom, boom, picking up on its own. And that helped a lot. So I'm finding that I still have to use that wire when I make a video. And I don't know. I've seen some guys make crystal clear videos, and I'm pretty sure they don't have a wire wrapped around their toe like I'm doing. But this way is working. It's actually friggin' working. So whatever interference is going on, and it's weird that my body would cancel it out. But anyway, it's just a little bit of trivia that probably don't mean shit to anybody, and probably somebody's watching this going, what the is he talking about? But for somebody who might be having that problem, I don't think you're being too stupid to actually try this out, because I pretty much felt like a dumbass the first time I tried it out until it worked. And I was going, hell yeah, dude. I'll play this game with the wire wrapped around my toe. Takes the buzz out, that's good with me. Make jibs coming in nice and slow, just the way I like it. Because I got a lot of free time on my hands. I don't have a life. I can sit through this shit. Plus I'm a space nut, which I just love the hell out of it. Okay, let's turn this motor off. Since I don't need it anymore, because that guy's the one that's going to be taking me home. Let's make sure I'm controlling from the right way. Watch this down there to see if I am. And you can see it shifted, so it means if I would have left it the right way, the other way, when this rocket fired, it would think that it's going this way. So it would throw the whole thing cattywampus. Look at that, man. I came up here all this way. Luckily, look at that big old ass. Look how much charge I got with this big old guy I put on there. So, luckily, I didn't even need the solar panels, actually. But let's go ahead and activate them. I have it on my hotkey, so it's probably going to close it first. Try it again. Now they should all come out. There we go. Go all that way without my solar panels. Okay, we're out of orbit. We're on a trajectory home. No, I don't really have to do anything else. You see, I have no periapsis. I mean, I can just coast all the way home. I don't need any fuel. I'll just land wherever the hell I land. I don't like to do it that way because I like to have some control over it, because by the time I got there, we'd have a lot of revolutions of the Earth and no telling where I would land. So what I always do, because I like to land on land and because I like to land daylight, I'm going to go ahead and change the periapsis to 100 and do it at a fixed time. And see, now I'm going to create a periapsis. Now when you do it this way, it takes longer to get home because now we have an extra step, because now we have to do it. Now we have to do another burn because we have a periapsis, but we're still going to just slingshot around the Earth. So we have to do another burn to establish an orbit at this periapsis. So I'm going to go ahead and use the flight computer again, and I'm going to circularize at periapsis. Now we're going to create our orbit. And it's going to be a pretty significant burn, because as we're traveling, find it here. There we go. Yeah, as we are on this flight back home, as we get closer, we're speeding up. And we're going to end up, before we're on the Earth, we're going to end up almost at a speed that we had to attain to break free of the Earth's gravity to go to the moon to begin with. So you can see, if I just left it here, I mean, we're talking 5 hours. I don't want to wait 5 hours. Let's warp And keep your eyes on the speed. You're going to see this thing. I mean, we are coming in hot. And if we didn't do this burn, we would just slingshot right around and go right back on the orbit we were on. So you can see we got a 1 minute 38-second burn, and that's to lose this speed. So we can lose this speed. So instead of falling back around orbit, going back to the moon, we're shedding off speed, so we're going to end up being captured by the Earth and fall back into a orbit around the Earth. Probably didn't explain that right, but that's how it is. That's my dumbass explanation of it. So as we're shedding off speed, you can see the speed's going down. The orbit, I mean the altitude isn't changing much because we're at the periapsis, so we're at that height which we want to stay at. So we're just basically putting on the brakes big time, putting this thing around retrograde against the forward motion, try to slow our ass down. You can see on the map what our orbit was and what it just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking as we lose speed. So this maneuver is not always possible. It just depends which you started out. Some people start out lean and mean. I don't. I start out slow and fat. That's just how I like to fly. I like to have way more than I need. In case I want to do extra stuff along the way, I don't have to worry about it. Or there's some that fly so lean that they don't even have enough fuel to do what I just did. They're going in a free return, probably on fumes when they're doing that. And that's cool. I mean, hey, there's no right or wrong way. It's how you like to do it. But this is the way I like to do it. I like this to the analogy of if I'm on a long trip and I don't get a kick out of timing the last time I fill my tank up so that when I get home I'm on fumes, and if I would have went one more time around the block I'd have ran out of gas. That's not how I like to do it. If you like to do it that way, I'm too old for that shit. When I get home, I want to have a half a tank of gas left. You know what I mean? That's just the way I roll. Nice and safe, and as stress-free as I can get it. So now we have one more maneuver to do, because now I have some control. So let's see where we're at. And like I said, I like to land on the lit side and on the ground. And the reason being is I like to see what I'm doing. It's all about the visuals for me. I go all the way around. Let's try this. I'm going to try to put that puppy about right there. And I like the visuals. I mean, you land, you know, if you were on a free return, it might be in the daylight one trip, next trip might be dead in the ocean, it might be noon, daylight on one, and it might be dead midnight next time you come and do it. So if it's dead midnight in the middle of the ocean, I don't get to see anything. And that's what it's all about for me. I want to see the whole thing. I want to see the detonations of the craft I'm separating from on the ground, and I want to see my landing. So this is the extra step I do. And luckily, this particular craft I built had fuel to spare. I mean, you can see how much fuel I still had left. I could make another trip with the fuel I got left. Okay, let's see where we're at. I want to stop that right there. I want to stop that, and I want to take a little control over this manually. I'm going to go ahead and point retrograde. Go ahead and put my solar panels back in since I don't need them anymore. Alright, let's go ahead and just manually light this guy. Actually, I'm not as much daylight as I thought I was going to be, am I? And we're going to get there. We're going to come out just right. Oh shit. Yeah, I'm going to make it. I'm going to fly right over that mountain. Maybe not. I might not make it over that mountain. Oh boy, oh boy. Gonna be a little bit short. Oh. Have to see how bad of a slope I land on. Sometimes the slopes do you in. Whoa. Holy shit. Holy shit, dude. I might eat it. Oh man, I might eat it. Come on. To the left, go to the left. Oh man. See, sometimes this will do you in because you'll start tumbling and you'll explode. Just depends how this sucker lands. Oh Jesus. Oh shit, dude. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, check that out. I stuck it. God damn. I don't know how the hell that happened. That sucker moving? Not even moving. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Later, dudes.